of our Fire Your Diet workshop, and we are so glad to be back with you today, again, for day 2. Okay, so Casey is just settling her daughter. Her daughter's going to sleep, the little one, and so I just want to say right now, I'm going to just talk a little bit about recapping from yesterday. Yesterday we talked all about why we need to fire our diet. Today we are going to talk about how we are going to do that. How do we fire our diet and still lose the weight? So here comes Casey. Hopefully everything is going to be settled over there. It's kind of hard with little children.
Hello. So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Pray for us that she stays asleep.
My husband is babysitting her 2 little ones. So sometimes that works really well. Sometimes it's not so good.
Well, it'll be fine. It's just if she wakes up and I'm not there and he is, it might be
a little scary.
Might be a little
say
tricky.
Hello. Let us know where you're coming in from. Like I said, today we are talking about how we fire our diets and still lose weight. Yesterday we talked about why.
Yeah.
So we're going to recap just quickly on why diets don't work.
Yeah.
And first of all, I'm going to say it's because it's from a negative starting point. It never works when we go, oh, I hate this. I have to start another diet. That never works.
No, it doesn't. And in fact, we have often talked in the past about, like, if you look at basic math, you cannot get a positive from a negative, right? Like if you, right? Like you can't get a positive outcome from a negative starting point. And so it's the same with weight loss, right? If we start with this negative mindset of punishment, of hating everything about ourselves, hating our diet, all of the negative, there's no way we're going to get a positive result from that. And even if you do lose the weight, when you finish losing the weight, you're still not going to like yourself. And so you're just going to like eventually sabotage yourself back into old habits. And so we have to turn that around and start from a positive place of wanting to honor the bodies that God has given us.
Amen. So if you're new here, we just want to welcome each one of you here. We're Ruth
and Casey,
and we're a mother-daughter team, and we are weight loss coaches, and we have been for many years now. We have helped thousands of women lose weight through our plan, which is called the 10-day WeighDown Plan.
Yeah.
If you're interested in that, it is in the
description below. Yeah, exactly. So go ahead and check that out. Hello, Susan, Jane, Miranda, Linda, and Sharon. Welcome.
Yay.
Thanks everybody for saying hi.
We just want to recap a little bit more about yesterday.
Yeah.
And we talked all about how our body is like a vehicle. And we talked about luxury vehicles. So if you need to know why we want to fire our diets, you need to go back and watch our video from yesterday, because we were on almost an hour talking about that.
Yeah, exactly.
But we just want to recap about the vehicle. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, like if you ask me, the main reason why we need to fire our diets is because that we end up gaining weight when we go on a diet. The statistics tell us that. And so it's not working. So if it's not working, we got to do something different, right?
That's right. If something hasn't worked for years and you're still where you were 30 years ago, well, you need to change something.
Yeah, or if you've yo-yoed
like
the
this.
same, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, however many times over the last number of years, and you're doing it again now, like
cut that diet out. Fire it.
Yeah.
That's why we say fire your diet.
Exactly.
It has to be a lifestyle that's sustainable for the long haul. And that's why we love the analogy of a vehicle, because your body is like a luxury vehicle. And we talked about luxury vehicles and all the good things that are in, all the gadgets that are in a luxury vehicle, but our body is the same way. Our eyes are so, like, there is no lens made that's as good as the eye. And just everything in our body works just so well. Like if you think about your liver in your body, it has to filter everything in your body that goes into your body. Wow, it's just amazing that we are as good as we are eating this much, like society, eating and drinking this much processed crap. It's amazing that we're not worse off.
Yeah, it is. Hi, Jan. Hi, Terry. Welcome. Thanks for being here. So that's kind of why we want to fire our diets. Like you said, you can go back and watch the replay from yesterday. Today, we're going to talk all about, so now I fired my diet. Now what, right? How do I lose the weight without being on a diet? And so we're going to share some key principles today with you that are really what we've used to lose the weight and keep it off, all without being on a diet, without counting anything, without like restricting food groups or eliminating food groups. We use other things, right? We use principles from the Bible to help us figure out the best way to live, because like we always say, the Bible is our blueprint for best living. So let's figure out the wisdom that's in there and apply it to our lives in the context of weight loss.
So we're going to start right now with Colossians 3:23, and you probably know this verse, and maybe you've never thought about it in relationship to weight loss. Well, here it is. Work willingly at whatever you do, as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people. Did you hear the word? Willingly.
Yeah.
Wow. If I just stop and think about that one word in a weight loss journey, it's crucial.
Yeah, well, and when we talk so much about shifting our mindset from like, I hate myself, I don't want to do this, I have to go on another diet, to I want to choose to honor the body that God has given me and to treat it the best that I can. Like it's really wisdom from that verse, right? It's a principle from there. Work willingly at whatever you do and do it as though you're doing it for the Lord. Well, we are wanting to treat our bodies well because we're called to, right? And because we want to do that to honor God and to honor the bodies that he's given us. And so when we can shift our perspective to that mindset of like, I get to do this, right? And the wisdom in the Bible is there for our good. It's not for our bad. It's not for our harm. It's for our good. Then that really can change the entire journey.
It can change everything. Our whole lives can be transformed by that one word, being willing.
Yeah, exactly.
Willingness. Wow, that's just huge. So how do you fire your diet and lose the weight?
Well, and I want to say, it's easy to say willingness, but how do we have a willingness to do this? Because it is challenging. And if you watched, we did a video the other day and Ruth kind of interviewed me about my weight loss journey. And one of the things that I talked about is closer to the end. So if you haven't watched it or didn't watch all the way through, you might not have heard this part, but we talked about the willingness to be uncomfortable and to go against the grain, to go against culture, to go against like what everybody else is doing. And all of those things can feel so uncomfortable, right? A weight loss journey is not a journey of comfort, right?
In fact, firing your diet is uncomfortable.
Yeah, because we've said before too, some of us don't feel like we are even worthy unless we can say that we're on one of these fad diets, because we've like wrapped our whole identity around being a perpetual dieter. And we feel like if we can't tell people that we're on a diet trying to lose the weight, that they're just going to think that we're like lazy fat people, really, like that, because that's how we feel about ourselves, because it's not working. And all of those things that we tell ourselves, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but like we have to stop the lies. We have to delete all of those lies in our heads that we're telling ourselves that are all wrapped up and tied up and wrapped up again and crisscrossed this way and that way from all the fad diets that we've done for so many years.
That's right. And I think what you're just saying is actually what we have to do, and how we do lose weight after firing our diet, is by taking responsibility, taking our own responsibility for everything that we put into this mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, which is a hard thing for us to do, right?
We don't want to take responsibility. We want to say it's the diet fault. We want to say, oh, that didn't work for me because I'm on medication. We want to say, oh, that didn't work for me because I can't walk, I can't exercise.
Yeah, or oh, well, my husband or my friend brought this into the house and I couldn't say no, or la 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 la.
We have all these excuses rather than just owning our own
decisions.
That's right, because every decision matters.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So further to that point, well, you've probably heard us talk about this before, but it's such a valid thing to talk about, is that we choose, we do not cheat. And so when we talk about firing our diets and still losing the weight without being on a diet, we have to take responsibility. We have to stop cheating and we have to start choosing. So every time you catch yourself saying things like, oh, I'm just going to have a cheat day, or, oh, I'm just going to cheat a little bit on my diet, or, oh, I'm just, this bite doesn't matter, or that bite doesn't matter, or I'll start tomorrow, or like all of these things that we say, ultimately they're excuses.
We're just hurting ourselves.
Yeah.
No one else.
And that language of cheating, it's just so bad. It's so bad for our headspace, right? Like there's no good connotation to cheating that we've ever come up with.
No, in fact, that brings us to the point about what you said earlier, is we have to get rid of the lies that are in our head. There's so many lies from the devil that are are in our minds. We have to uncross those wires. And maybe they come from the fad diet culture, because we did say this yesterday. If you have, it's not your fault if you have failed on all the diets.
We did too.
We did too. We were brainwashed to think that all those fad diets were going to help us.
Yeah.
And we bought into the lie, when scripture has so much to tell us. You know, we have to be willing to honor our temple, honor the body that God gave us. And I think when we surrender that first and foremost every single day, then we can do it, because the Bible also says he gives us a way out of escape. He gives us a way out of temptation. So if we are being tempted and we don't take the way out, we don't take the escape, we have to take the responsibility that we put that into our mouths.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, think about yourself on the last diet that you've been on. And lots of you that are here have been with us for a long time. So hopefully your last diet that you fired was a long time ago. But it's easy for this mentality to keep coming back and resurface because it's ingrained pretty deeply in our heads. But think about the last time that you cheated. Okay, when was it? What was it?
Or what did you say you cheated with?
Yeah.
Like, why are you using that terminology? Is it because you think no one's watching, or you have to make an excuse because you're going to eat this and you don't want them to think that you think it's okay? Because maybe today I'm going to eat fries, and I'm choosing to eat the fries because I'm on my 80-20 rule. I'm eating the 20%. I'm eating something that I haven't had for a long time, and I'm choosing to enjoy it. You know, why are you saying you're cheating?
Because I think ultimately the thing that happens when we say we're cheating is that really what we're doing is we're trying to absolve ourselves of the responsibility, but really what we're doing is we are making decisions that do not align with our goals. And so we're only hurting ourselves. Like, that's the crazy thing about it, right? We do all these weird behaviors when it comes to like fad diet culture and trying to lose weight that ultimately hurt ourselves. Like, we're taking ourselves away from what we want. And I get it, because I've done it too, right?
Yeah,
like,
I have too.
I get it. But when you actually stop to think about it, it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, and this light bulb goes on and you go, why did I do that? Why did I think like that? Well, it's because we've been brainwashed by the media, because we're bombarded with all these myths. It's like, bananas are bad for you, nuts are bad for you, low fat is really good for you. Well, no, it isn't actually.
Yeah, or other things like, 100 calorie snack packs are the way to go because they're only 100 calories, but there's no nutritional value inside of there at all. In fact, it's jam-packed with chemicals and preservatives.
That's right.
So we'll eat that, but we won't eat a banana. And
so doctors say, you shouldn't eat a banana because it's too much sugar, but you can have the snack pack, which is filled with sugar, and it's unhealthy sugar and all the chemicals and the things that actually make you crave more of that processed junk. Whereas a banana has potassium and minerals and vitamins and folate, like so much that your body needs, and it's actually going to fuel your body and make you feel full. Whereas that snack pack, you don't even know you ate anything.
Yeah, exactly. And so, although we will say part of what we're going to talk about today is portion control. So things like those snack packs help us with portion control, but we've got to think about the decisions that we're making, why we're making them, and we've got to think about the language that we're using, and we've got to think about whether the decisions that we're making are helping us achieve our goals or whether they're actually derailing us from our goals. And it's like you said earlier, there is a little bit of a nuance there with sometimes choosing a thing that doesn't align with your goal of weight loss to make it a sustainable lifestyle, right?
That's right.
If it's your birthday, for example, that comes once a year, and you decide that you're going to have a piece of your favorite dessert for your birthday because you are choosing that so that you don't feel like you're deprived, so that you don't feel like you have to stop living to lose the weight, sure, then make that decision and choose it and enjoy it and then carry on. Versus, I think one of the other big things that we talk about here is being in control of the decision that you're making. right? And if that cake, in that example of the birthday cake, if that cake is talking to you so loud that you don't have the power or the control to say no, then you should not have it, right? Because then the food is in control of you and you are not in control of the decision that you're making.
That's a big point.
Yeah.
Because we have to be in control of the food. We have to be control of our decisions that we're making. And so what I was going to say is, yeah, if it's your birthday and that comes once a year, think about how many other birthday parties and how many parties and how many socials and how many times you're going out a week and how many times, you know, you're invited to grandkids, graduation. We have a baptism which is really exciting. We have a baptism on Sunday. My granddaughter, not Casey's,
Not my granddaughter or my daughter.
no, but my granddaughter's getting baptized. Like, there's always things going on. There's always parties. So there's always excuses. So when she said a birthday once a year, you have to make sure that when you're choosing to eat something that is going to be a special occasion, it isn't very often, because then it doesn't align with your goals.
Yeah.
If you have a goal for weight loss, then you have to have that goal in your forefront of your mind all the time.
Yeah, and it's a very fine line. You've heard us say this before too. It's a very fine line between maintaining your current weight and losing weight, right? And so we have to be careful that we're not doing that too often. Otherwise, we're not going to be in weight loss mode. We're going to be in maybe maintenance mode.
We could
right?
even be in gain mode if we're
Yeah.
choosing every day to have something like that.
Exactly.
Because when we're choosing, we still have to have our choices align with our goals.
Yeah.
Always.
Exactly. So like there's a lot of subtleties to this.
Yeah.
Right? And what you choose is going to be different than what I choose. And so really what this is about, it's about making a lifestyle for yourself where you can sometimes say yes, but where you can also more often say no while you are in weight loss mode. And notice I said you can say no, because you get to choose to say no, and because you are in control of the decision. And I think that's such an important distinction when we talk about like choosing versus cheating. Because I think when we're cheating, most of the time we don't feel like we're in control. We feel like we are powerless in the face of the food. And so we just have to do it, and we have to binge, and we don't have choice, and we don't have a way out of the temptation. And that's the story that we start telling ourselves. But we have to get to a point where we are in control. And sometimes that can be like the hardest shift to make in your weight loss journey, is that first time where you say, no, I am not in control right now. If I go eat that cake, I am going to binge hard and I'm going to fall off the wagon. I am not going there.
That's right.
Right? And so you have to take back the reins. You have to take the control. And sometimes I think that's like where people have that breakthrough moment when they are able to do that, probably for the first time or the first time in a long time, and recognize like how powerful you actually are, right? And you have the Holy Spirit inside you. We have help, right? We have a way out of temptation. Always.
Always. So
Okay?
we have to stop with the excuses.
Yeah.
So let's stop saying we cheated, and let's start saying we're choosing, but let's choose and make decisions that align with our goals. That is just so crucial.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's stop procrastinating. Let's stop being lazy. Let's stop being too busy to take care of this body, which is a temple.
Yeah.
We are supposed to honor God with our bodies. It's like a command. It's not optional.
Mm-hmm.
And so as women of faith, we need to make that a priority in our lives. We have to be willing. And if we're not willing, we have to ask and pray that God would make us willing to be willing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a Billy Graham saying, be willing to be willing to be willing.
Yeah.
But
I also want to say too, you know, treating, I got to be careful how I say this. We can treat our bodies really well and not lose weight.
that's right.
Right? So if
Yeah.
you are in a position where you're just not there to lose the weight, right? Like if it's not the time for you to be that focused on losing the weight, then like if you can't do it right now, then just focus on treating your body well, right? Just focus on your health.
Good choices.
Right? Exactly. And so like losing weight isn't the only way that we can honor that commandment
No,
of treat
absolutely.
your body like a
That's
temple,
right.
right? Like lots of us need to lose weight for the sake of our health. But I'm going to say sometimes we're in seasons of life where that just is not our priority or our focus. And that's okay. And so I think in those times, sometimes it is better just to say, right now, I'm just working on my health and making good decisions. rather than trying to like force ourselves into this headspace and goal of weight loss where we just keep failing because we're not really in it.
Absolutely, because there's still times, like it's always good to put good food and fuel
Yes.
into our body,
Yeah.
always, whether we're in weight loss mode or not.
And that's, I think, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because Casey and I have lost the weight that we need to lose. We're not in weight loss mode right now. And so we still have to make healthy decisions. And it's always at the forefront of our minds. That's trash. That's good. This is good. This is better.
Yeah,
This is
I've
better.
had enough of this right now.
Yeah, this is better. This is best.
Yeah.
We're always thinking these things because it's ingrained in our mind now to be mindful of every decision.
Well, and I think even further to food, like movement is another one of those things, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's better when we start thinking about movement for health rather than movement for weight loss, right? Like,
Yes.
often it is better for us just to think about eating for health rather than eating for weight loss. And, you know, then we can add in some of these other little tweaks when the timing is right, like moderation and portion control that help us lose the weight. But the more that we can just think about like eating for the sake of health, movement for the sake of health, renewing our minds for the sake of health.
Oh, that's so
like,
good.
Right?
Yeah.
When we think about it from the from the perspective of health rather than the outcome of weight loss or the outcome of like whatever your thing is, man, that makes it easier.
Come on, ladies, give us an amen. That reminds me of Joyce Myers. She always says, do I hear an amen for that? Come on, ladies, give us an amen. Give us a thumbs up. I'm starting to watch a lot of Joyce Myers.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But it's so true. I mean, come on, we just need to get in this together. And I'm going to say right now, I know that many of you are my age. Some of you are older. Some of you are younger. It doesn't matter what age you are. Casey's young.
Oh, well,
and
it's all relative.
It's all relative. That's right. But it doesn't matter what age you are. We always can come up with an excuse not to go and exercise because we don't feel like it. We'd rather sit on the couch. I would, you know, I tell you this a lot, but I'm doing push-ups and I do 20 push-ups at least a day. Why do I do it? Because I want to be able to carry my suitcases and I want to keep traveling. And so often I think, oh, I don't feel like getting on the floor and doing push-ups. I don't want to do them today. And then I think, well, what's my goal? Why do I do push-ups? Because I need the strength to carry my suitcase. I don't want my husband to have to do it. So if it doesn't matter what your goal is, follow your heart with your goal. Like you need to have that goal that just perpetuates you to drive you forward to do it. As you get older, it gets harder. I know that. We've been weight loss coaches. Well, I've been a weight loss coach like my whole life. And as I have aged, because I was doing, when I had a gym, I was like, I don't even know, I was in my 40s.
You were like 45 or
I think
something,
I was
right?
45, yeah. I know I'm 20 years older. I know it's harder to get on the floor and do push-ups, but I still have to do it because I don't want to lose my muscle. I don't want to get weak so I can't do the things God is calling me to do. I know that, and a muscle, we need muscle in our physical body. We need muscle in our minds. We need that memory to keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I could just keep on.
Oh, geez. So the whole point here is make decisions that align with your goals. Okay, so you got to ask yourself, what is my goal? Why is this my goal? Is this truly what I want my goal to be? Or is that just like what rolls off my tongue because that's what's always been, right? Like maybe you have been telling yourself for decades that you're going to lose 50 pounds, but in reality, if you lost 30, that would be fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Like what we have to sometimes stop ourselves and go, what is my goal and why is this my goal, right? And I shared a little while ago, I said to Ruth like a month or two ago, I was like, I think I should try and lose 10 more pounds. And she was like, why? And so I stopped myself
like
and
crazy,
asked,
right?
Why?
Crazy.
Right? And so I stopped myself and I said, why? And, you know, I realized it was because some of my self-talk was kind of going the wrong direction, right? And it was looking in the mirror and putting on my shorts because the warmer weather's coming and I didn't like my cellulite and I didn't like all these things. And so I thought, well, I should lose 10 more pounds. But in reality, that's not a good goal for me right now.
No, it isn't, because she wouldn't even be well if she was 10 pounds lighter. Like the whole point is that we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to have a body that's free of cellulite, because very few people are free of cellulite.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to have a size 0. If you feel good and healthy in a size 12 or 14 or 16, then be happy with who God made you to be. Be happy with your health.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, we've shared so many times too over the years, like we are very different shapes. And like I am not a skinny person. I'm not a petite, skinny person. And sometimes that's hard for me to accept, but I have to keep working on loving who God made me to be. And you know what? God made me this way for a reason.
Amen.
And so he made you the way he made you for a reason too. And we want to do our best to take good care of our bodies, but doing our best and taking good care of our bodies actually does not mean trying to be something that we're not. And so when I'm busy thinking I should try and lose 10 more pounds, it's because I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not. And so it's so many mixed up wires that
That's
we
right.
have to continually uncross because they continue to get crossed.
That's right. And, you know, we have these crossed wires, and slowly but surely they start to get uncrossed. But if you're...
Until, boom, they're crossed.
They're like this again. And then they're even different. Like,
yeah.
The devil plays with our minds. He wreaks havoc with our minds, and he loves to keep us stuck.
Yeah.
He loves to keep us down and defeated. But we're victorious. We have the Holy Spirit living in us. We have the power within us. So we hope that this is empowering you to move forward.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the first principle, because our video today is called 3 Key Principles for Sustainable Weight Loss. So our first one for you that we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes is making decisions that line up with your goals, okay? Let's move on to the second one now before we're like at an hour and we haven't even got there yet.
The second key principle is portion control, because we all know that portion control is very, very important.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, we don't have this verse set for one of the verses for today, but one that we love so much when we talk about portion control is from Proverbs. I think it's Proverbs 25 verse 6, I think. And it says, "Do you like honey? If so, don't eat too much or it will make you sick." And so what we love about that is like it's more biblical wisdom for losing weight without eliminating food groups. It doesn't say don't eat honey.
And
right?
honey is sweet, but it is a God-given sweetness, which is very different than the processed crap.
Yeah. And so, you know, that's where we can go. Like, we don't have to say we're never going to have this again. What we have to do is use portion control so that we're not overdoing it. Because the verse there says, there's one version that says, otherwise it will make you vomit. And so I like the different versions, because it's like, when you think about overindulging in, well, let's talk just about honey for one. If you have too much, it's going to make you sick right now in the moment. But also, if you have too much consistently over time, it's going to make you sick in the long run with other issues, right?
Like with other medical issues, like
with weight gain, with diabetes,
obesity,
with like so many things. And so, like, we have to look at how much of the food that we're eating, like how much are we consuming? And we haven't talked about this for a long time, but sometimes when we think about portion control, and like when we go out for a meal, if we don't get like a big, huge hunkin' portion on our plate, we think we haven't gotten enough value for our dollar, and we have to eat it all. And we like, right? We have this weird idea that like, you know, our pocketbook needs us to have so much food, but oh my goodness, what's that doing to the rest of us? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. So instead of next time when you go out and you order something, you think, oh, that's not very much. Think about, that's too much. Because it's probably still a double portion. Well, that's the way our restaurants are here, and I'm sure they are there.
Yes,
because the States gives a lot more than Canada does.
That's right. And you know what? If you want to go somewhere and get a great value for your dollar, great. But then portion control it and bring the rest home with you, okay?
Ask for a container to go right away as soon as your meal comes, and they'll be happy to bring you one.
Yeah, exactly. I love portion control. I weigh and measure my food, and I feel okay about it too.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's great. And Yvonne says snacking can get carried away. Oh, yes,
it
can.
Very quickly. In fact, that brings us to our next, well, this is part of portion control, but it's about mindless eating.
Oh, that's terrible.
Where, you know, often, I've done this many, many times, like when I'm in a group and, you know, it's you're at a party and everybody's excited and you're all congregated by the food. So here's another point, get away from the food
Yeah.
because you just mindlessly eat. People are just, no, take another one of those, take another one. Oh yeah, I agree. And you're having this great conversation, but you're just stuffing your face.
Yeah. Or like we often talk about how it happens so easy, like with fish crackers, right? I have small kids. Sometimes if I'm like giving them a snack of fish crackers or whatever it is, it's like all of a sudden I look and I'm like, how many of these have I eaten? Oh my goodness, right? Like the mindlessness of it is just wild.
Yeah. In fact, you don't even realize it because they're just so moreish. We call it moreish. You want more. You don't realize that you've had a handful and how many, like, it's just mindless eating.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so with portion control, that's such a good point. We have to be careful about that mindless eating.
So let's talk about portion control.
Yeah. I was just going to say, if you are going to mindlessly eat, have a plate of vegetables on your counter that you're mindlessly eating, because at least that, like we've often said, when's the last time that you overate on broccoli? Probably a long time ago, maybe never.
Yeah. And maybe you've overeaten on carrots because carrot sticks, those are something that you can just keep eating, it seems. Be careful not to eat too much of that, especially on an empty stomach, because it's gonna hurt your stomach.
Yeah.
It's happened to me.
Yeah, it's happened to me too. Well, and over time it will turn your skin kind of orangey too. That's happened to me before too when I was young.
That's right. And carrots do have sugar. So don't overeat. It's just like honey. Don't overeat it or it's going to make you vomit.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Jane says, I try to stick to raw honey and pure maple syrup for sweeteners, and I measure it when I use it. Yeah.
Way to go, Jane.
And Cade, I forget what you'd said your name was yesterday. Your Cade showing up as Cade for us, but she says, great, Jane, I love that. I measure mine as well. Otherwise, little by little, I will allow myself more and more every time. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when it's this slow build into more and more, we don't really notice it. But then we notice when there's not as much and we want more because our taste buds adjust, right? But our taste buds can adjust the other way too, where if we slowly take some out, then slowly over time we get used to it being less and less and less sweet. And then it doesn't, then that's how we like it, right? So,
that's right.
Yeah.
And something that me personally, something that I can overindulge in very quickly is peanuts. So I have to be careful because I love nuts and peanuts, and they're healthy, but I have to be careful that I'm not overeating, just mindlessly eating more when I've had my share. I've had my portion. I've had enough. Mm-hmm. It's just, some things are just easy for us to overindulge in, but we're never supposed to overindulge in anything.
Yeah.
It's moderation. The Bible talks about moderation, and that's the biblical wisdom coming back.
Yeah, exactly. Terry says it's so easy to snack for no reason.
Ugh,
yes, it
wow.
is. Okay. Thank you. Chrissy is your name. You've admired us both for a long, long time. She's proud of our mother-daughter relationship. We rock. God bless. Thank you. That makes our day. Thank you so much, Chrissy. We're
Chrissy.
glad to have you here. And you know what?
We're really glad.
We will say our mother-daughter relationship in our business has taken time to evolve. And I mean, it's never been bad, but we have had difficult periods where we have really had to work through things. But
it's made us stronger, made us rely on God more, made us focus in prayer, and made us apologize, and made us
and learn how to communicate in a different way, right? Because working together is a very different relationship than just mother-daughter.
That's right.
And so, we've had to learn new communication skills. So when we talk about in different contexts, like learning new skills to pull out of our toolboxes in different circumstances that come our way, we're talking because this is what we have done and what we have had to do and what we have to continue to keep doing because no matter what, we need to have tools to know how to navigate the situations that we're in. And when we don't have the right tools for the situation, we can learn new skills. And really, that's what it's all about. And that's what we've had to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we've been in business 8 years now together.
No, actually, I was thinking about it. It's 9.
Oh, wow.
2015, we opened a coffee shop. Well, we bought a coffee shop.
Yeah.
So
2015,
we took over in June. June 1st. So coming up on 9.
Okay. So if you didn't know that about us, now you know why we developed recipes that are so tasty and delicious, because we did a lot of food prep and catering from our coffee shop. And so we learned what people like to eat and what they thought was tasty. So our recipes,
sometimes we had big flops.
But we learned.
Oh,
right?
dear, we did, yes. Funny.
Okay, so portion control. Let's talk about some things that we like to portion.
Yeah.
So For instance, we talk about bread a lot because Casey and I both love bread.
Yeah.
Sometimes, well, I often make my own bread and I use spelt flour. I don't use the white flour because white flour, ladies, is it's so high on the glycemic index. It's 100 on the glycemic index.
Yeah, you'd be better off to go eat a teaspoon of sugar.
That's right. Table sugar is lower on the glycemic index than flour when it's in your body.
Yeah.
And
white flour specifically,
yeah,
right?
and we all know that white flour or white sugar is called the white death, but wow, flour turns to sugar in your body right away, and so it just does not help us in weight loss.
Well, and it's so interesting if you can actually Google the gluten in flour, right? And how it, like, I watched this one video one time on YouTube that showed different kinds of flour and how like white flour just like globs up and it like stays globbed up in your stomach because it doesn't really dissolve and break apart, right? And that's the I keep seeing gluttons and I'm getting it confused with gluten. And so anyways, I'm trying to talk about gluten, not gluttony.
Yeah.
And so like the gluten that's in like white flour, it just like balls up and sticks. And so this person had mixed water with white flour, and then in a separate bowl she'd mixed water with I think it was einkorn flour, the one I was watching.
Yeah, that's the non.
Yeah, but spelt is similar because I've tried it.
Yeah.
And so she balled them up into 2 balls of dough, just water and flour, and then she took a sieve and like ran water over it and kind of tried to like shake it up. The white flour with the water literally like stuck. It was so disgusting how it like stuck to the sieve. And like you couldn't even get it off. No water would run through. It was just like layer of glue. In this example, the einkorn flour, it like totally, there was like tiny little bits of stuff left over at the end of the same amount of time of running it underwater. And so it just showed the difference in like just how bad that white flour is for our systems, right? Because it just like glues into our system.
Exactly. So go and try that when we're done here. Just take half a cup of flour and put some water on it, make it like glue. Take some spelt flour or einkorn, something that's not genetically modified, and see what the difference is. It is amazing.
Yeah, like the video was just
well, in fact,
eye-opening.
They paper mache with white flour.
That's a good point.
It's glue.
There you go.
And it holds fast. So how is that good for our digestion?
Yeah,
it's not.
Just not. So yeah. Anyways.
So bread.
Yeah.
We like to have. I like spelt bread, but we like to have bread that's what's it called?
Sprouted grain.
Sprouted grain.
Is what we usually like to use.
And we like the Silver Hills, which is the little big bread. And you don't have to have that, but the reason we like that is because if you want to make a sandwich, they're little thin slices so you can actually make a sandwich.
Yeah, without having too much, right? Like it's using portion control and still eating foods that we love to eat.
Otherwise, it's like one piece of bread.
I was just going to say, it's also, that's an easy one for us to find here. We can buy that sprouted grain bread at Costco in a 2-pack. The price point really, like it's a little bit more than just other regular like whole wheat bread, but it's not that much more. And so we like that. What we can find here, there's a couple comments we'll look at in a second.
Yeah.
Another thing we can find at Costco here is sprouted spelt flour, that's what we use to bake with most of the time. And if we do make bread or buns or anything, that's what we use. And spelt flour is much lower on the glycemic index as well, but so is sprouted grain flour, okay? The health benefits of sprouted flour are
far surpassed
much better
because it uses all 3 parts of the grain, and it's I'm not going to go into that right now, but it's just so much healthier. There's more minerals and vitamins. It's lower on the glycemic index. It doesn't give you that insulin spike, so it's just so much better for you.
Yeah, well, and like the way that that it's sprouted or whatever, like I don't really know exactly the process that it goes through, but there's some fermenting that goes on. Like and Jane is saying Ezekiel. Yeah, the Ezekiel bread is sprouted grain as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so depending where you live, you might not be able to buy the same kind that we buy, but you will be able to find a sprouted grain bread. In fact, in the States, one that most women have used is Dave's Killer sprouted grain bread is what it's called.
And I don't know if they come in the little thin slices or whether it's just one, but you'll know. If it's the little one, it's very little.
Yeah, it's so much
very
thinner.
thinner.
Yeah. So bread, that's what we like to do, is try and find the thinner sliced stuff. And like one portion of bread would be one regular slice of bread or two of those small ones.
Yeah.
Other things like for weight loss, the way that we've broken portion control down is for most of our like starchy foods like rice, pasta, it's half of a cup cooked.
And we also don't use the white rice and the white pasta. We use sprouted or something that's a different grain that isn't 100 on the glycemic index.
Yeah.
You have to really check your labels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, half a cup is what we like to use. A trick that we like to use so that it fills you up more while you're in weight loss mode when we talk about portion control is like, okay, we had spaghetti the other night for dinner. We have half a cup of noodles, which is not very much noodles,
No,
okay?
it's not, and it's spelt noodles.
Yeah, but we have half a cup. What we like to do is we like to get coleslaw, like just pre-cut coleslaw at the store so it doesn't add any extra prep or anything. Put that on the base of your plate, and then
the noodles.
Then the noodles, and then the sauce on top, and then you kind of mix it all together, and
it's delicious.
yeah, and it fills you up, right? Like
That's
it's a
right.
filler, so it makes you feel like you're eating way more food, but you're not overdoing it then on the portion control side of things, right?
And that way we're getting greens and veggies because we need that in our everyday living to be healthy anyway.
Yeah, and the thing that's good about it is like when you mix it all together like that, the coleslaw kind of cooks down a little bit from like the heat of the sauce and the heat of the noodles. It's just good. Yeah, just try it.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at some comments.
Okay.
Or do you want to go here first? I think.
Well, we just talked about half a cup, a slice of bread. Let's just finish talking about the portion sizes.
So a meat, we like to say about the palm of your hand. We say like 4 to 5 ounces, 3 sometimes. Like it depends on what it is.
Yeah.
And so you don't, if you're a vegetarian, make sure you're getting your protein from other sources like lentils and beans and whatever. Make sure you're getting your protein. Chia seeds have protein. There's lots of things that do. Just be careful that you're getting enough protein.
Yeah.
Because protein also fills us up.
Yeah. What else do we have here? An apple, things like that, or like the size of a tennis ball. Like a medium-sized apple would be that.
Cheese, if you're going to have some cheese, like we recommend having the mozzarella cheese. It has, we don't buy the low fat, we buy regular cheese, but then it's like 4 dice cubes is like 1 serving. But mozzarella is less fatty with the bad fat. There's less of it than the orange cheese. Lots of fruit and veggies. We say 5 to 7 servings of vegetables and 1 to 2 servings of fruit. So if you're going to have fruit, that would include your sugar intake for the day when you're in weight loss mode.
Yeah, the fruit is included in your sugar intake.
So in sugar, we're only supposed to have 25 to 30 grams of sugar per day, which is not very much sugar, ladies.
No, it's not. And so that's why, we can't gorge on too much fruit. Like, we always say, eating too much fruit isn't what made us gain the weight.
No.
Right? But if we want to lose the weight, sometimes we have to, be careful with how much of that we have because we got to get some of that sugar out of our system.
So maybe you're going to have an apple and maybe you're going to have a half a banana today.
Yeah.
That would be your sugar.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's about peanut butter. Anything like that is like 1 tablespoon is considered a serving.
Yeah, which is like the tip of your thumb is kind of an eyeballer for that.
I think that's...
So yeah, those are some of the portions that we like to use.
If you have any questions, put them in the chat too.
Yeah, and we'll read them in a second. The way that our 10-day WeighDown plan is set up is that we have got all of the portions
laid
out for you for each recipe. Excuse me, so that you don't have to think about that. You don't have to do that. Yeah, so, okay, let's look at the comments.
Yeah.
So, okay, Joan says, any chance of talking you ladies into another cookbook?
Well, we know how much work our cookbooks, they took a lot of work.
Yeah, they did.
But you never know.
You never know. Maybe we should come up with another one. Because, maybe we need some new recipes too.
Yeah. Well, we are going to say that there are so many recipes. I think there's 30 recipes in our 10-day WeighDown plan, and then the 30-day Jumpstart, which is a 30-day meal planner plus another 20 or 30 recipes, and then we have our volume 2 cookbook, which has over 70 recipes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of recipes.
And you know what the problem is for us is that we're not particularly great at following a recipe or like writing it down when we make something. So then the next time we're like, how did we do that again? Yeah. So we'll have to maybe get our act together a little bit.
And what it means is when we make these new foods, we have all 5 of us that have to approve it because we're a family business. So everyone has to approve the recipe. So it is quite a bit of work. Sometimes we have to go tweak it, so we have to make it again and eat it again, and then we have to tweak it again.
Yeah, but hey, you never know. We'll think about it,
Yeah.
okay? Yeah. Okay, Nicole, or Jane says, your recipes are the bomb. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Nicole says, can you share your spelt flour bread recipe? I'm saving up for a grain mill. Would love to grind my own grain, but baking with spelt would be good until then.
Yes, it is. I'm going to go get this recipe book because it is in our recipe book.
Yeah, and Nicole, I'm not sure where you live, but for us, we can find, like I said, sprouted spelt flour at our Costco. If not, like your health food store will have spelt flour, probably even sprouted spelt flour. So check there. Ruth's just gone to go get the recipe. Terry says the sprouted grain is wonderful. Yes. And Joan says the wraps are amazing. Yeah, the sprouted wraps are really good too.
They are. In fact, wraps we've talked about before. Wraps have gotten really expensive. So if you're on a budget, like if you're not on a budget, then good. Keep buying those sprouted wraps because they're delicious. If you are, that is a recipe that we have put somewhere, but it's not in the recipe book, where we just use, I often make these. My husband loves them. It's made with oatmeal, red lentils, salt, and water. And I make wraps, little tortillas out of that.
Yeah.
And they're delicious.
Yeah, they are. They're really good.
And they're very inexpensive. They're not like the Silver Hills sprouted wraps. They're pretty pricey for $6.
Yeah.
But
the texture's quite different on those lentil ones, but they're good.
Yeah. So our bread recipe is in our volume 2 cookbook. So I'm just going to show you this cookbook. It is in here. And this is the sprouted spelt bread recipe, and it's the long one with the starter. But if you have a bread maker, you can do, like what I often do is I make the dough in my bread maker. So I just follow the recipe almost as regular bread, but I just use my spelt flour. And I just do, in my bread maker, I just make the dough. And then when the dough has risen enough, then I do my own loaf and I let it rise again and then I bake it. So I use my bread maker to mix it all together, and it takes about 1 hour and 20 minutes. So you can do it without the starter and just add some yeast. That's what I do a lot. It's so much faster. Mm-hmm. The sourdough starter is very, very good and healthier, but if there's good, better, best.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Jane loves the Ezekiel sesame bread. Yeah, and Miranda says the Dave Killer bread does come in the smaller slices.
Good to know.
Yvonne says, what about sourdough bread?
Well, sourdough bread is better than other bread, but it's still white flour. And yes, it's fermented, so it is a lot better. I'd still suggest using the sourdough starter and making it with spelt flour or another flour. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Chrissy says, what was the brand name of the bread from Costco again? Chrissy, if you're in Canada, we get Silver Hills, is the brand. So it's sprouted. They've got, I think, our Costco usually has 4 different kinds of the Silver Hills bread. Like we can buy one that's 12 grain sprouted bread. There's
one that's just whole wheat.
There's one that's whole wheat. There's the little big bread, which is the thinner slices, and then there's a sesame one too, I think. So any of them are good because they're all sprouted flour, sprouted grain.
Yeah, it's just you get 1 slice for the bigger piece of bread, and you get the little big bread, you get 2.
Yeah, exactly. So Jan says her Target carries Silver Hills. Oh, that's cool. I didn't actually know that it was in the States, but that's good to know. Jane says, I'm always confused with oats. Should it be 1/2 cup of cooked oats as well?
What are you referring to? The portion size for oatmeal?
Yeah, let us know, Jane. Chrissy says, I love 4 ounces of where did I go? 4 ounces of protein, 4 ounces of starch, and 6 ounces of fruit and vegetables.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Chrissy.
And then what are our thoughts on caffeine? We drink caffeine.
Yeah, we drink caffeine. it really depends on your body. You have to be aware of how you feel with the caffeine in your body. I like green tea. I drink some green tea. I like coffee, but I like black coffee, so I'm not worried about the sugar. And it's all about the sugars. Yes, you have to be careful on caffeine, but like we always say, you still have to drink enough water. Like your coffee doesn't replace your water.
Yeah, I think we could just think about it like moderation
Yeah.
and portion control too, right? Like we don't want to overconsume caffeine any more than we want to overconsume food.
No, because if we know that both of us, if we overconsume in caffeine, we get the jitters. Like we both do.
Well, and my stomach gets up like with coffee anyways if I drink too much of it. So yeah.
Yeah.
But we're fine with that.
We like coffee and tea.
Yeah,
so,
we do.
Yeah.
Jane, I never eat fruit after 2 or even my healthy carbs. I eat them earlier in the day.
That's a very good technique. That's a thing that's up to you. You have to become aware of what works for you. That's why we say learn to live with it. You have to make this a lifestyle. If that's a sustainable lifestyle for you, that's perfect.
Okay, Chrissy, I've been learning, there's a couple other comments that you guys have talked to about each other too. I've been learning a lot about capsule grocery lists. Have you ladies ever considered listing one for all your subscribers? I love the idea. By capsule grocery list, does that mean like the stuff that we would regularly buy and have in our pantry or our fridge? Is that what you mean by a capsule grocery list?
Yeah, always having certain things on hand.
Yeah. Because that's definitely how we shop and how we live.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me know if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Oh yes, in the stores that we use. Yeah, we've actually never thought about putting that together. Our plan does have a shopping list that you can use to put the recipes together that you're gonna use. But yeah, that might be an interesting video for us to put together, like, you know, what we always have in our fridge, right? Or what we always buy at the store. Because it is kind of the same things on repeat.
Yeah.
Right?
Really
like,
is.
you know, and unless we're going to make a specific meal that's different that we need something else for, we basically buy produce, meat, dairy.
We always have, like, we don't, like dairy, when we say dairy, we always have some cheese in the house.
Yeah.
We always have peanut butter. I can't live without my peanut butter.
Yeah.
Because we have energy balls, which I always have them in my freezer. And I make them and freeze them right away, the energy balls, because then I can just take one out if I want one in the afternoon for a snack. What was the question again?
Like doing a video of the capsule.
Yeah. We always have little big bread or spelt bread. We always have spelt noodles.
We always have beans in the pantry. We always have like
tomato sauce.
Yeah. We always have like
tomato sauce,
carrots, celery, and onions, so we can make soup or like a stew type of thing. Like we both almost always have soup in our fridge that's just ready to eat.
Yeah. And I always have coleslaw because I use that. I'm gonna say 5 out of 7 nights.
Yeah.
For dinner, because I use that as a filler.
Yeah. But yeah, we could definitely put a video together like that.
Yeah.
And typically we shop at Chrissy, where are you? Are you Canada or the States or where? Because we're in Western Canada, but we shop primarily at Costco and our one of our stores here in Florida. So we have a store called Superstore, which is kind of like a discount. It's not a discount store, but it's the cheaper it's the cheaper grocery store in our area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but a lot at Costco.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna say, I think it was Jane who asked about the oatmeal. I'm gonna say, Jane, try a half a cup of oatmeal that's already cooked.
Yeah.
For a serving size.
Yeah.
Because that's a starch as well.
Yeah. And Christy, hello, glad you're here.
Awesome.
And Chrissy says, where do we buy our coleslaw? Just at any grocery store. Like it's just in the, like, you know, where you can buy the prepackaged salads at your grocery store in the refrigerated section of the produce aisles. There's bags of coleslaw that are pre-cut there.
And that's one of the tips that we have for if you're a busy person, just buy the bag of coleslaw because that's what's in there is green cabbage, purple cabbage, a little bit of carrot, and I think that's all.
Yeah.
Ours is just strictly that. It's very healthy.
Yeah. You can also cut your own up if
Yeah.
you'd rather do that, but
Yeah.
we just find the convenience of buying a bag of it is just so handy.
Yeah.
And Jane says she loves the energy balls.
Oh,
Yes,
me
they're
too.
so good.
If I need energy, I grab one of those.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's the second principle that we wanted to talk about today, being
Was portion
control. And the third principle that we want to talk about today for losing weight without being on a diet is progress over perfection. Now, this is when we talk about lots, because I think many of us have the expectation on ourselves of perfection.
Yeah, and so we like this saying, imperfect action trumps perfect inaction every day of the week.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say that again. Imperfect action, so that means you taking action even if it's not perfect, it trumps perfect inaction every time.
Yeah.
So
if you feel like you don't know where to start or you don't know what the next decision to make is, just start anyway. Even if it's not exactly the best decision, it's going to be better than
no decision,
right? It's going to be better than going through the drive-through again.
Yeah, it's time to get rid of the all or nothing thinking, because so often we think, well, I did so bad, I may as well just eat terrible the rest of the day. You know, oh, I overate, so I may as well just have dessert now too. No, stop thinking like that, because the next decision matters. The next decision counts. So if you think that you've made a bad decision, then make the next one a good one.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing too that we have to remember is, like, God is not asking for our perfection. He's asking for us to surrender the journey. He's asking for like a heart posture of willingness.
Mm-hmm.
And
comes back to willingness.
Yeah. And so he's not asking for perfection. And so we have to get that idea out of our heads, because that is, like, I think seeking perfection either keeps us from acting altogether, because like you just said, like we're waiting for perfection and then we never start.
That's right.
Or what it does is it sets us on the ditch it all thinking path, where like if we haven't been perfect, then we ditch everything and go back to old ways. And both of those scenarios get us further from our goals, not closer.
Oh, absolutely. We always say this, one healthy meal isn't going to make you healthy. Just like one unhealthy meal isn't going to make you unhealthy. It's consistency over the long haul. We have to just consistently think about what we're putting into our mouth. Really, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And it's not perfection. I love what you said. You know, God isn't asking us to be perfect. He knows we're not perfect. But he does say that we're going to reap the harvest in due time. We're going to reap whatever we sow. Whether we're sowing unhealthy meals or healthy meals, it's going to affect our body in the long haul. It's just, that's a law that God made, and it works. I'm going to say it's true.
Yeah.
We know that that's what's going to happen.
Exactly. So yeah, you've got to adjust your expectations of yourself, I think, because if your expectation is perfection, then you're just really setting yourself up for failure before you even start, which we don't want to do.
No.
Yeah.
I think we've been here for a long time already.
Yeah, we have.
Thank you for hanging in there with us, ladies.
Yeah. And Chrissy says, I believe it's important to have a journal and an accountability partner. I know God is our number one. However, it's also nice to talk to a friend about our progress. Yes.
And that's why we need community. That's why we need each other. That's why we're here for you. Like, and just in case you aren't already a member, we do have a membership on this YouTube channel. And so, you know, think about joining that. It's very reasonable. It's like $6.99
Canadian, I think, and $5.99 US. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a community of support around you. We have to do it together. We can't do the journey alone. It's just way too hard to do it alone.
Yeah.
Like, we have God at our side. But as women, we like to have the fellowship. And we always say a cord of three is not easily broken. And that's God, you, and someone else. It's a cord of three.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that covered the principles that we wanted to talk about today. So the first one is making decisions that line up with your goal, and also the choose not cheat mentality. The second one is portion control, and the third one is progress, not perfection. So we've really got to hone in on those three principles if we want to lose the weight without being on a diet. And, you know, we're here to tell you that it is possible to lose the weight without being on a diet, but like, you still have to make changes. You still have to work at it, right? We're not saying there's a magic pill where, you're just
It's going to
gonna
drop
drop
off.
the weight off without doing any work. But we are saying that it's possible to create a healthy lifestyle for yourself that you love, that is sustainable. And that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow, is how do we actually create a healthy lifestyle for ourselves that we love, that we're going to want to keep living, rather than do another fad diet that we hate, that we're just going to ditch.
So yesterday we gave you some homework and we told you to go and check your pantries. Did you go and check your pantries? Did you look at what you have there? Give us a thumbs up in the chat right now if you did do your homework, because it's important to not just go, oh, I don't need to do that. No, you do need to do it.
Yeah.
We need to do it too. Like, we all have to just take charge and take responsibility, like we said at the beginning, of our own choices. So if you want something to work, if you want to live this lifestyle, then you have to do the work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Susan, 3 thumbs up. Way to go, Susan.
Way to go. We are
Joan did
super
it.
proud
Miranda
of
did
you.
it. Miranda says she needs us. She fails on her own. Yeah, Miranda, we
all
all need
do.
support.
Yeah. I mean, we're so fortunate because we have each other, but we want to help you. We want to serve you. We want to be there to encourage you. So we know that you can do it. We do believe in you.
Yeah, exactly. So that was your homework yesterday. I think today, we didn't really actually talk that much about setting goals for our weight loss journey. Like, we didn't talk about the actual process of goal setting. Maybe we'll talk about that a little more tomorrow and come up with some different homework for them for today.
Yeah.
I think your homework for today, here it is. Portion control your next meal.
Absolutely.
Okay. For lots of you, it's going to be, well, probably for everybody, it's going to be dinner, because we're the furthest west here.
Yeah, you might have had dinner already.
Yeah. So if
But
that's the
still your
case, then
next
it's your
meal.
breakfast,
It's
right?
your next meal.
Portion control your next breakfast. Get out a measuring cup or a scale if that's what you like to use, and
you're gonna-
measure it and
you're
portion
gonna
control.
realize, you're going to go, oh, I've been having double portions.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it can do for you if you actually do the homework.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to be uncomfortable because you're hungry? Well, you might be. But remember, it's okay to be uncomfortable because you're working towards your goals. If you're eating a half a cup of something, well, then you're in line with your goal.
Yeah. And
Be proud of that.
fill your plate up with vegetables.
That's right.
Okay. If you're hungry, eat some more veggies. Yeah.
You know what else I'm going to say? If you're still hungry, eat an apple, because an apple is, the saying that says an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, it's true. An apple really does give you so much that you need. Like, we've worked with Dr. Kathy, who many of you know, and she says an apple is one of the best things you can do, and it's a complex carbohydrate.
Yep.
So if you're still hungry, eat an apple.
Yes, exactly. So there's your homework for today. We're going to check in with you tomorrow. Make sure you did it. Did you measure and use portion control for your next meal? Because we've got to hammer these points in, right? And if we actually go do it, then we're more likely to keep doing it, rather than, like you said, if we just go, I don't really need to do that. Well, then nothing's going to change. If you don't change, nothing will change. So
here's today's affirmation, and I think we said it yesterday. I choose what I want most over what I want right now. Right now, you might be thinking, oh, I'd sure love a chocolate bar right now. That's not what you should choose right now.
Nope.
Choose what you want most. Maybe it's an apple.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
you want most to reach your goal.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
So let's end with the scripture again, because we
it's-
know that we need to do this every day.
Yeah, because Jane says we can't hear these principles enough, and it's so true, right? We have
Yeah.
to get them in here, sunk in, and sometimes we have to hammer them in a little harder because they don't want to go in. Okay.
So if you haven't got our plan yet and you'd like to get our plan, please look in the description, because it's right there for you. And
Yeah.
we know that it has helped thousands of women lose the weight doing it God's way.
Yeah.
And what is God's way? Surrendering the journey daily, inviting God to your table.
Yeah. Okay, Colossians 3, verse 23. Work willingly at whatever you do, as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people. So take that verse today and think about it in relationship to your weight loss journey. Work willingly at it, as though you're doing it for God. So
Amen.
we are just perfect timing, because my daughter's going to wake up any minute. She's moving. I'm watching her on the
So
monitor.
thank you, Jesus. He kept her asleep for us. So remember this. treat your body like a temple today.
Not a trash can. And we will see you same time, same place tomorrow.
Love ya.
Bye.